everyone. In this video we are going to talk about the universal law of gravitation. Now this law states that every object in this universe attracts every other object in this universe with a force which is directly proportional to the product of their masses and is inversely proportional to the square of the distance between them. Now this law was put forth by Sir Isaac Newton, and this law states that wherever in this universe we consider two bodies, these two bodies attract each other with a force, and that the amount of that force is directly proportional to the product of their masses and is inversely proportional to the square of the distance between them. Now let's say we consider two balls, which is a football and a tennis ball. Now let's say the football has a mass capital M and the mass of the tennis ball be small m, and the distance of their separation be small d, let's say. According to this law, these two balls must attract each other with a certain amount of force. Now this force is directly proportional to the product of their masses, that is F is directly proportional to capital M multiplied by small m. Now what does directly proportional means? This means that if the quantity in the right hand side increases by some way, then the quantity in the left hand side also increases. Now this law also says that F is inversely proportional to d squared, which is the square of the distance of separation between the two bodies. Now this inverse proportionality means that if the quantity in the right hand side increases by a factor of 2, let's say, then the quantity in the left hand side decreases by a factor of 2. So when the factor or when the quantity in the right hand side increases, the quantity in the left hand side decreases. So this is what is meant by this expression, that is F is inversely proportional to d squared. Now if d increases by a factor of 2, then d squared will increase by a factor of 4. That's why the force here, which is inversely proportional to d squared, will be decreased by a factor of 4. Now on combining these two expressions, we have F is proportional to small m into capital M divided by d squared. Now whenever we want to remove the proportionality symbol and put the equality symbol, we need to multiply a constant in either of the sides. Any of the sides you may choose. Let's say we choose the right hand side. So F will be equal to gmm by d squared, where g is a constant which is called the universal gravitational constant. Now this constant does not depend upon the medium in which these two objects are placed, which means that it doesn't depend upon the place where you select or any corner of the universe you select. The value of the g remains the same. Now this, as I said, is independent of the medium between the two bodies and also is independent of the masses of the two bodies. Now this g, what it shows is the strength of the force of gravity at any end of the universe. Now this law, as the name suggests, is the universal law of gravitation. Now why is it called universal? It's called universal because it is so general that it can be applied to any two bodies in this universe. Not only the bodies which exist on Earth or the Earth itself or the solar system itself, but it can be applied to any two bodies in this whole universe. It is so general in nature, and that's the reason why it's called the universal law of gravitation. Now let's talk about this universal gravitational constant for a while. So here we will be finding out what is the unit, SI unit, in which the gravitational the constant is measured. Now here we have the expression of universal law of gravitation, which is F equals gmm by d squared. So here g becomes F into d squared divided by capital M into small m. Now in this expression, what we will be doing is we will be substituting units of these physical quantities in both the sides. So the SI unit of G equals Newton multiplied by meter squared divided by kg squared. We have simply replaced these physical quantities with their units, and this side becomes the unit of G. So here we find out that the SI unit of G turns out to be Newton meter squared per kg squared. Now let us have an estimation of what it means to be the universal gravitational constant. We will have an estimation of how it is and how much it is in quantity. So here let us take both the masses to be 1 kg each, that is capital M is 1 kg and small m is also 1 kg, and they are separated by a distance of 1 meter, let's say. Now in that case what happens is these quantities become unity, and thus the force of attraction, gravitational force, exactly equals the universal gravitational constant, which is F equals G. So if we have two bodies of unit mass separated by a unit distance, then the force of gravity, the amount of force of gravity is exactly equal to the universal gravitational constant. So the gravitational constant G is numerically equal to the force of gravitation which exists between two bodies of unit masses separated by a unit distance. Now the value of G was not found out by Newton, but it was found out in a later time by a British scientist whose name was Henry Cavendish, when he performed his own experiment. Now the experiment that Henry Cavendish has performed had 4 balls in total. 2 were of bigger size and the rest of the 2 were of smaller size. All of them were made up of lead. Now he was somehow able to calculate the force of attraction between a bigger ball and a smaller lead ball, and that's what he made use of while calculating the value of the universal gravitational constant, and this is the apparatus that he has used for his experiment. So the value of G that he found was 6.67 into 10 power minus 11 Newton meter squared per kg squared. So this is the value of G which is constant throughout the universe. Wherever you go, you will find the value to be this, and this gives us an estimation of the strength of the gravitational force between two objects. Now we have considered these two objects, that is a football and a tennis ball. We see that these two do not differ much in their masses, but we do not see them to be attracting each other. They do not come towards each other or move towards each other when placed on a table, and they do not stick to each other, right? So we do not observe any kind of motion in these two bodies resulting from the gravitational force. But we have learned already that whenever there is a force that exists, then the body starts moving or the body changes its state of rest to motion. But we do not see any such motion in this case, even if the law claims that there is a force of attraction that is called the gravitational force. So why does this happen? Now the cause of this, the reason behind this is that the masses, that is these two masses, are very, very small, and the force of attraction is directly proportional to the product of their masses, and that is the reason why we do not observe any motion in these two bodies, since the force of gravity is very, very less or extremely small, or we can say it's negligible. If we have at least one of the bodies to be very, very large, for example, if one of the body turns out to be Earth, then we can observe this gravitational force, since the product of their masses becomes large in that case. So if at least one of the bodies is large, like the Sun or the Earth, then the gravitational force becomes very large. For example, when we drop a ball, the ball gets attracted towards the earth and it falls down to the ground. Now here the two bodies under consideration is earth and the ball. But in this case we observe the ball going towards the earth and sticking to it, right? And that is because the magnitude of a gravitational force here is larger or very large as compared to the previous case where the masses were very small, and thus the force was very small for us to see it or for us to feel it. Now suppose both the bodies are of huge masses. For example, we consider big objects like the earth and the sun or the earth and the moon. Then the gravitational force in that case becomes extremely large because both the bodies are of huge masses. So in that case the force of gravity becomes very large or extremely large. So these are the three cases in which the magnitude of the gravitational force becomes less, more, or even extremely large. Now for a better understanding or for clarification of the concept, let us calculate what is the force of attraction between these two balls. Now let's say this ball weighs 1 kg and the small ball, which is the tennis ball, is of mass 0.5 kg, and the distance between them, let's take it to be 1 meter. Now we can simply use the formula given by the universal law of gravitation to arrive at the magnitude of force that exists between two bodies. So here we have all the values of the masses, the difference or the separation, and the gravitational constant. So this is all that we require to find the force of gravity in this case or any other case. So here the gravitational force is F equals g mm by d square. So on putting all these values, we have the force to be 3.335 into 10 power minus 11 Newton. So do you notice here the superscript of 10, which is minus 11. It's a negative number, that to minus 11, negative 11. And that's a very small number. It's even very less than 0. So we can neglect it in any way. Now do you notice this superscript over 10 here? It's minus 11. Now minus 11 is a very small number, right? So here this force turns out to be extremely small for us to see it or feel it. And that is the reason why we do not observe any attraction or any motion in these two bodies. On the other hand, let us calculate the force of attraction between the earth and the moon. Now suppose we have earth and the moon. The mass of the earth is 6 into 10 power 24 kg and the mass of the moon is 7.4 into 10 power 22 kg. And the distance between them on an average is 3.8 into 10 power 8 meter. Now we have the formula, that is F equals g mm by d square. On putting all the values, we have the force to be 2.05 into 10 power 20 Newton. So this force is very large. Here the superscript of 10 is 20. But in the previous case, we had the superscript to be minus 11, which was very small, extremely small we can say. But in this case, the superscript of 10 is 20. Can you imagine how big it is or how large it is? So here the force of gravity is very large, and that's the reason why it is apparent in this case. Now suppose we have the bodies to be earth and a ball. The force would lie somewhere in between, and that is the reason why the force turns out to be greater for us to notice. So this is how we have compared the force of attraction between the two bodies when it comes to larger masses and when it comes to two balls, the mere small masses. So this is how the force of attraction varies with masses and also the distance between the two masses. So in this video, we have learned what the universal law of gravitation is. The universal law of gravitation states that there is an attractive force which acts upon two bodies. The bodies can be anywhere in the universe, whatever be the body, it doesn't depend upon the size of the body, but this law applies everywhere. That is, there is an attractive force that exists between two bodies, which is the gravitational force, and this force is directly proportional to the product of their masses and is also inversely proportional to the square of the distance between the two masses. So with this, we have come to the end of this video, and I hope this video was helpful to you. Thanks for watching.
TutorialsPoint.com. Simply easy learning.